Call meeting to order by saying the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Walsh County Commission regular meeting, May 20th, 2025. Just a reminder, we are on Zoom, so if everyone could get my attention before speaking so we can keep an orderly meeting. We're going to start with additions to the agenda. Paul?
Do we need to talk about the burn ban?
I believe Crystal's here for that.
That's it.
Okay, good. Ernie?
Just an update on the dam rehabilitation projects.
Denny?
No.
Amy?
No.
Christie?
The county tour, the NDACO county tour.
Okay, and myself? None. Okay, everyone was provided a copy of the May 6, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the monthly bills for review. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. All right, and then we'll have employee time. And Crystal, I believe you're here for that.
Hello.
Good morning.
So here about the burn ban, we put that in place at the last meeting. It's pretty evident, we don't necessarily need it anymore, but what I would like to do rather than completely take it off is just amend it, so the new verbiage that would be put into this would say, it would include a little paragraph that says, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Walsh County Commissioners declares the fire emergency and burn ban effective when the North Dakota Rangeland fire danger rating is in the high, very high, extreme rating and or red flag warning has been issued for Walsh County. So basically what that would do is that would keep our burn ban in effect, but it would only be in effect if we depended on the fire index rating. So if we're in a low or moderate like we are right now, free and clear to burn, but if we're in the high or getting to the dangerous levels, then the ban is in effect, and that way we don't have to keep coming back throughout the burn season to say, yep, we want an effect, don't burn. Otherwise, you know, that way it's already in place throughout the season, and then it's kind of more on the public and for us to notify them through our social media and such that, you know, today's high, no burning, today's low, you can burn. And it also kind of makes people call in to check and to advise us too, because we do get a lot of people calling into dispatch saying, oh, I see smoke over here, but if you already call in to let us know that it's a controlled burn, then we're not gonna send out responders for that, so. We've done it like this in the past, so I've talked to multiple, fire department chiefs, everyone's on board with it, haven't had any issues with that. Is there any questions?
Amy?
So yeah, I think this is a great way to handle it. The fire index, is there an easy way for people to access that? Or I mean, Google Fire Index, but you said it's the US.
Yeah, it's the Rangeland fire, so it's on ndresponse.gov. I can post a link on our Facebook page, and a lot of times National Weather Service will share it if it comes through. If you're a part of the citizen opt-in through the county through Everbridge, you'll get notifications if we're in a red flag warning or anything, or if there's a fire watch as well. So
Any other questions, Betty?
Sounds confusing, but if the fire chiefs are on board with it, I'm good with it.
yeah,
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the amendment as stated?
To approve.
1 second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Paul?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denny?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried. Thank you very much, Crystal, appreciate it.
Yeah.
So our Facebook site will be updated
yeah,
then.
once I get back to my office, I'll update everything, send it out to the fire chiefs and
Okay.
post everything, so.
Will you send me a copy of that?
Yep. Yep, and then I send that to Ron and Tony as well, so.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ron, I guess we should have asked, are you good with this policy?
I am, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Crystal. Okay. I don't think anyone else is here for employee time, so Ron, we can go ahead and move forward with you. We have a national child safety presentation.
If you want. I have Tim Motherway from the National Child Safety Council, and it's a program that we've been involved with for now 60 years. And I brought you an example of some of the stuff that we use throughout our presentations. And if you look on the back, you'll see some of the sponsors. So we send a letter out through National Child Safety Council, and they send donations in. It's not a taxpayer funded. It's up to individuals and businesses to contribute, and once they do, we use that material in our county to do presentations and all kinds of different materials bought to I know the county health uses stuff through the Child Safety Council also, and we use it at all of our fairs and presentations, so it's great material. I'll have Tim explain a little bit more about the program.
Yep, the National Child Safety Council is a 501c3. We've been in existence since 1955. And we partner with law enforcement agencies and provide these materials for law enforcement agencies to use in presentations in schools and all kinds of events at no cost of their budget. And probably where this area up here has a number of agencies that have been in this program for 60 years. Walsh County is one of them. I previously used to be the chief of police in Crookston, Minnesota. Crookston and Polk County has also been members for 60 years. So it's a wonderful program. It's a win-win-win all the way around. Doesn't cost the department's budgets a dime. We do all the work. And the kids get the benefit of the materials, and the donors get the benefit of recognition on some of the materials also. And today I'm very proud to present Walsh County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Jurgens with a plaque for 60 years of partnership with the National Child Safety Council.
Thank you very much.
Nice job.
Yeah, really.
Very nice.
Yeah, of course, this is not a program that I instituted, but it is absolutely a program that I support. I'm too young for that. But, it is, I think that the predecessors before me that had the insight to keep a program like this going, and I'd like to thank the public and our businesses for supporting it, because it really is something we use and something that you can see just a few of the topics that we have. If you've been into our lobby before, and all that, the literature in the lobby is provided by the Safety Council, so it is something that we use. I know we have several presentations coming up, even one today on bike safety. I'm at the Park River School. We'll use the material from that. We've got some senior citizens presentations coming up on some of the scams and some of that stuff. We use their material for that, and so it is the bracelets, the stickers, all kinds of the pencils are huge hits with our kids, and
Yeah,
we love being a part of the program, and it is great for our citizens, and I'm very proud to be a part of this organization, so.
well, I'm happy to see that you guys are involved in this organization. I mean, when I look at this bracelet, and I think the young kids love these bracelets, right? And it says, "I'm drug free, no vaping for me." Let's hit them young. I
Right.
think that's just a great idea, so I won't keep the bracelet, but very cool.
You can if you want.
When you say kids, what age group?
It covers everything from preschool through senior citizen.
Okay, so it is, it's
Yeah.
not just child or kid.
No, it's not just child safety, it's primarily for
Right.
for children, but we have materials all the way through for seniors.
Good, good.
Amy,
I see so many local, it's just amazing to see the sponsors. How do you solicit through the mail or like how?
Yes,
sponsors?
it's done by letter.
By letter,
Yeah,
okay.
a letter is sent to the businesses. And if they donate, wonderful. If they don't, they never hear from us at all. There's no phone solicitation or money in any way.
So it comes, just so people know, it comes on the sheriff's office letterhead. And I sign the letter, if it doesn't come from the sheriff's office and I haven't signed it. It is not a legitimate solicitation, but they get a letter in the mail and then they send the contributions into the sheriff's office. And then we get the money to the safety council, so if that's not the way it works, if somebody solicits over the phone, that is not us.
Well, hats off to both of you. You being, I imagine this is a retirement calling for you.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
When it came time to retire, wanted to still have a connection
Yeah.
with law enforcement, but. I covered northern Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, northern Idaho, Wyoming. So it's been a wonderful experience getting to know all the chiefs and sheriffs and school resource officers. No, I love it.
Good job, thank you.
We, at Halloween, if you see a Halloween bag, that's one of our big seasons, we get a Halloween bag with some Halloween material in it and maybe a bracelet and some candy. That comes from the Child Safety Council, so it is something we utilize a lot. Yeah, like I say, it's from preschoolers all the way to senior citizens, so it's a program that we use in a lot of different aspects in our involvement, so I appreciate everybody's commitment to that, and it is something that we are very happy to be a part of, so I thank Tim for coming over today.
yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Yeah, well,
And to make that connection with those young kids.
Oh.
yes, it is.
Huge.
There's a lot of stuff from vaping to sexting to the stuff that, the gamut of stuff that they cover. From the minute you're born till you die, some of the stuff they cover is very on point, and they update it. Almost every year, there's new material coming out, so they do a great job of getting us current information. Which is really helpful for us when we're doing our presentation, so.
Yeah, we have a very active research and development section. Our home office is in Jackson, Michigan,
Okay.
and they do a wonderful job.
Amy,
Is it all print, like when you start talking about teenagers and when to reach them on more of the device, I guess, platform?
Yeah, all the materials are printable, but there are several of the pieces of material have QR codes on them, where you can scan it on the phone, and we'll either read the book to them or bring them to our website where they can get additional materials.
good. Well, congratulations again on the 60 years. That says a lot, I think, about Welsh County being a member for
Yes.
60 years. And thank you for coming up and presenting that to the sheriff's department.
Yep,
I
you're very
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We should get a picture, yes.
What do you want at the front?
Yeah.
Let me take it for
Do
you.
you have?
No, I'll go grab it.
Grab your phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right here.
You can be in the picture.
Or have all the commissioners in that?
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
There went that.
Well, it's not that difficult, guys.
And it won't hurt much either.
I'll get my copy.
Now we're gonna
Right?
take the camera.
No, I
Okay, you want
think,
that?
yeah, I'll be on this side of the
Okay.
picture.
Who are we looking at?
Yeah.
I want it first.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Uno, dos, tres. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how to do it in Polish.
Okay, now me.
It's great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I could teach you Norwegian.
Jest she's to be finished. Ciężko się
I don't have to worry about me taking it.
Good, huh?
They're Polish? On to the later data found set to here.
We're gonna go on to.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
I was just thinking about one and the two, the three.
all right, I'll get you guys back on track now. Next, we have a jail project update from Ron.
I have a prepared statement, everybody knows by now that the jail project, as proposed to voters, did not pass with both measures as we needed. We are fairly confident we can still utilize the sales tax revenue as long as it's for the stated purpose of constructing a jail and or sheriff's office. Our state's attorney's office is researching this more deeply to be fully certain. We will have a wrap-up meeting scheduled with the Sanders Group next week after the official canvassing results are in. We will discuss what, if any, options we have with the funds that we do have available to us. So that is my prepared statement on that, so.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do we do the canvassing?
Yes, I'll let Christie answer that.
Yes, so for a special election, it's the recorder, the chair of the commission, and then the auditor.
Oh,
And that is on May
47.
27th. Okay,
And I don't think we have quite 50 ballots. We did get quite a few mail-ins that were postmarked, May 12th. 2 days after the election, but there's not 50 of them. 50 total,
50?
50.
mhm. Okay, so unofficial until May 27th.
Correct.
Okay. We're way ahead of schedule today. Let's see. Are you Terry? Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure. Well, I can't read from here. You probably have American Foundation on here. Do you mind, do you have other people coming or do you mind coming up now?
Yeah.
You ready? Okay, all right, so we have, I need to get my glasses on. We have Terry Albee. Make sure I say your name correct. Is it Albee?
Yeah.
Okay, Terry Albee with the American Foundation for Wildlife and,
Bill Haas with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department.
okay, nice to meet you both.
Yeah, thanks for having us, appreciate it.
Welcome.
Nice rain.
Yes, beautiful.
Take it when we can get it, right?
Exactly, absolutely. As long as it knows when to shut off. Okay, you go ahead.
Well, Chair and Commissioners, today we're gonna talk about a proposed land acquisition by a nonprofit in Walsh County. I had sent out the packet of information. I have hard copies here, if anyone needs a hard copy or wants to look at a hard copy during this talk.
I can pick one.
Okay.
So would I, actually.
Oh, sure. Thank you, no. Anyone else?
That's the one I'm trying to box.
Yeah, no, extra.
I do have one. That's this. Two more.
I'm sure probably.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. So the reason for this meeting is, well, one, to clarify, I'm Terry Albee, and I actually work for a group called the North Dakota Natural Resources Trust, so I'm here being a representative for American Foundation for Wildlife. The American Foundation for Wildlife person cannot attend today, so we do some of their on-the-ground field work for them. We can explain a little bit more of that later, but the reason for the meeting today is just as a background and notification of this proposed acquisition. And all this relates to our Century Code 10-06 and actually section 10, which talks about nonprofit acquisitions in the state of North Dakota. And so that isn't a common practice for nonprofits to acquire land. And so part of that is to go through the steps of the Century Code and the procedures for doing that. The first step is I was letting you know that this is happening or proposing to happen within your county. So of that Century Code, what would happen after this meeting is that the American Foundation for Wildlife would submit formal proposals to the Ag Commissioner, Doug Goring. And Doug Goring and Tom Bodine would look at this proposal, and they have 45 days to set up a public meeting of this proposal. And that public meeting is chaired by 8 members that has to vote on the proposed. And the county commission is one of those voting members. So it's the Ag Department, county commissioners, Farm Bureau, Farmers Union, Stockman's, Game Fish, Forest Service, and Parks and Rec. And they would give a recommendation to the governor of North Dakota, who has 30 days to make the official acceptance or denial of this approval of this acquisition. So today, that's a little bit of the background. We'll talk a little bit about AFW, we'll talk a little bit about the landowners, a little bit about the land, and then also the future management. And Bill will talk a fair bit about how this will all work. So American Foundation is one of the entities that can acquire land in the state of North Dakota as a nonprofit. To my knowledge, there's only 6 entities that can do that. They were incorporated before 1985, which meets the criteria of the corporate farming law. And they meet that criteria, and they have done other land acquisitions in the state of North Dakota. The American Foundation for Wildlife mission is to be part of balancing wildlife and management, its interests and values of North Dakota's landowners, citizens, and communities. So their core function is charitable gaming. So they're a charitable gaming organization, blackjack, pull tabs, and establishment. A lot of their funds go directly back into communities through their charitable gaming. Their gaming sites are through the central and northwestern part of North Dakota. But they have a trust fund, and when that trust fund builds up to a level, they look for larger profits to help contribute back to wildlife conservation and communities. And this would be one of those projects. So through this, they put together a partnership of folks who could help them out, provide funding, and then ultimately, if required, they would end up donating this property to the North Dakota Game and Fish Department for long-term management. Any questions on that procedure side of things? I know that's a little much.
Like you're good to go.
A little background of the landowners and the original contact of these landowners were to our Game and Fish Department. I'll have Bill talk a little bit about that background of these particular landowners, and then we'll get into a little bit of the actual land and the characteristics of the land.
Yeah, so again, I'm Bill Hodgins, I'm Assistant Wildlife Division Chief for our Wildlife Division, and so one of my duties is to oversee our land acquisitions. And so we don't do a lot of land acquisitions in the state, it's very minimal. We're very selective in which ones we pursue. We have a minimal amount of budget that we have available for our acquisitions, and which when we do decide to pursue one, then we do look at partners like North Dakota Natural Resources Trust, American Foundation for Wildlife, which is why all of us are involved. It gets a little confusing then for everybody, but it's a way for all of us to kind of work together to a common goal. And so the Bosch family reached out to me, I suppose it was a couple of years ago, and asked if we'd be interested in potentially acquiring their property. And we do have it enrolled in our plots program. Are you guys familiar with our plots program with triangle signs and landscape? And so this property is enrolled in a 30-year easement with USDA. It's a wetland reserve easement. So with those restrictions, there's no farming or any of those practices that take place. And so we tagged onto that then and signed into our plots program, which then gives the hunting access for that property. And so that was enrolled about 10 years ago. And so there's still 20 years left on that easement, and then also our agreement with them. And so they had inherited this property from her father and, from Beverly's father, and they just had a strong interest in preserving this for the public, but really, you know, they're into hunting and wildlife, and they wanted to see this be utilized for people well into the future, and so when we look at these opportunities, we're selective, and this checks all the boxes. It has outstanding habitat, mostly wetlands, minimal cropping ability, or potential, which is why it's in this program. You know, it just provides a lot of really high quality habitat. We have a family that has a strong interest in preserving this, and that's in their interest, because as you can see, it's a process to go through. It's a really long process. Terry will go through some of their requirements, but the Game and Fish Department has additional requirements above and beyond that we have to check those boxes on. And so the family reached out to us, it checked all of our boxes, and so then at that point in time, then we reached out to Terry, and then also with the trust, and then American Foundation Wildlife, and they went through that same process, and it was one of those projects that just checked all the boxes, and we thought it'd be worth pursuing. That's kind of how we got to where we're at with it.
Yeah, certainly the visits with the landowners, it was their intent for this to be acquired for wildlife purposes and open to the public, that is their intent to carry on their father, Beverly's father's tradition. And so we've had a number of conversations, it fit all the kind of the criteria that would make sense for a land acquisition, and so we're starting that process. Yeah. Well, a little bit about the property, it's 500 some acres in 2 townships, Shepherd and Sutter Township. It's like Bill said, it's primarily wetlands, it's in a wetland reserve easement program for 30 years, so it is in grass and wetlands right now, and that WRE does restrict or limit any agricultural production out there, particularly crop production. There may be some grazing or haying. I'm not sure if they've ever hayed out there before. But it would allow some of that for grass management. And like Bill said, there's still 20 years left of that WRE, so the family still has 20 years on that easement, and then the Game and Fish Plus program is also 20 years. Yeah.
In the property, you can see on the map, it's zoomed in a bit, but it's east of Lawton by 5 miles, 3 miles east of there, just to kind of give you an idea of where this is located. And there's 3 separate parcels. Each one adds up to 542 acres, but they're very close to each other.
I did have a map in the packet, but I'll also pass around the map. That's
Going out a little bit.
Moved out of the way that, so you can see the adjacent to, it's just east of it's on the very western edge. In fact, it borders the western end of Walsh County. And if you want to just pass that around, thank you so much. It's very wet country, over there. So it gives you a little bit of the characteristics of the land and the parcel and the locations of it. It's not one parcel, it's like actually 3 separate parcels. Yeah. I can pass that, I can do that, actually. I like it.
Paper person, so.
It's kind of prime duck hunting country.
Yeah, check our box, right?
Yeah, I grew up not far from there.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Very familiar with the area too.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So maybe one of the things we could also talk about briefly is Game and Fish's requirements. For land acquisition, so our Game and Fish Department would be a funding partner in this. They would bring some funds to the table, and then when they bring some funds to the table, there's certain criteria that needs to be met within other century code law. So
Yeah, so one of the first things is we need to get legislative approval, in order to spend those funds on those acquisitions. So we have a full budget of acquisition money they approve, and then every specific project is also needs to be approved. And so this project actually was just included in this last session and was approved by the legislature, and we met with them and discussed each of the projects, and they did approve that one, or this project, so that was good. Ultimately, we will need governor's approval as well. But another step that's pretty key is that we send a notification to all neighboring landowners within 1 mile of each of those parcels, which the 3 parcels adds up to quite a few landowners. What, you said it was 47?
Our original number was 80 some parcels, but if you look at duplication, there's probably about 40 individual landowners adjacent within 1 mile radius of these properties. Yeah, I have the list of that right here.
So as we go through this, it's not a secret. I mean, that's the point, right? We want people to be aware this is something we're pursuing. They don't want to catch people off guard, and so we notify all those neighbors. We also put it in the paper for a couple weeks. We notify, if it, I'm not sure if that's an organized township. If it is, we notify the township. If there's any cities within 12 miles, we notify them. So there's a lot of notifications that go out with that process. And then that's all, of course, in addition to what that Terry had talked about for the process for acquiring that property through their processes. I think I hit everything, right?
So can I ask you a couple questions
Yeah.
there? So I don't forget by the time when we get
Yeah.
to the end. So when you say you notify all the landowners, I'm just thinking, okay, so I'm a landowner in Walsh County and this land is adjacent to me.
Mhm.
What if I was interested in purchasing it? Would they have an option to reach out to Ms. Shirk and attempt to purchase the land, or is what is the point of, I guess, notifying the landowners?
You want to hit on it? Yeah, I can hit it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a purchase agreement with the landowner.
Or you do already?
But that's one of the big things for us, when we are contacted by these folks, ultimately, they could sell it to somebody, they offer way more money, and then we can only pay up to appraised value.
Right,
So we wanna make sure they're in it for the right reasons, cause those things could come along. And in this situation, that is one of the reasons that we did pursue it, is the family really is interested in conservation, having this open to the public. But would like to have a little bit of compensation, a little bit, cause they can't quite afford to just donate it to the agency, and so that's, but with that said. You know, those are things that can happen, and I think usually as we go through this process, more of the concerns we do hear from neighbors are, you know, issues with noxious weeds, and then that we're able to let them know.
my
hey,
second question.
yeah, and that's a big concern and understandable, and so right now for private land, you know, that's a private landowner, even though it's in the POTS program, it's up to the private landowner to control those noxious
Right.
weeds. Now, when we ultimately acquire it, we have seasonal staff that are tasked just with that duty of controlling noxious weeds, and we make that a priority, and that's something that we would do on this property as well, or these parcels, so.
Okay,
So that's often the question, and then sometimes honestly it ends up being where other folks are like, I didn't know you bought property, I have land right adjacent to it, and sometimes it opens up other projects, and then, you know, it just oftentimes it opens a discussion, and a lot of times that's the key with it, is we wanna have those discussions before things are completed, so we can talk through some of these. Agreement or disagreement, whatever it might be, and there's a potential that there could be a landowner that wouldn't be in favor of it. But if there's 42 landowners that are in favor and a couple that aren't, that, you know, maybe that's pretty good too, I guess that's some, but that's just information that we can provide too.
okay, Paul,
How much land does the game and fish own right now? Do you know that?
Well, we manage around 225,000 acres statewide, but we don't own all that land. We probably own maybe half of that property. We manage property for a lot of different entities like the Corps of Engineers, North Dakota DOT, Bureau of Rec. So a lot of different groups that own land, but they don't have the means or they've asked for us to manage those properties for them. And then we enroll them in our wildlife management area program. So we own a fair amount of area. We have 7 districts throughout the state. This would be managed out of our Devil's Lake office, where they would manage this one. And those folks go all the way to our mountains, the eastern border, yeah.
So according to this, you would continue to pay the taxes?
Yes,
Do you pay the taxes on all the land you own?
yes, we do. Yep, yeah, we're paying new taxes on all properties that we own, yep. And that's always a key question, noxious weeds, taxes are key, obviously, for your interests, are key concerns understandably, and. Yeah, we do very diligent about noxious weeds, and we do pay the county taxes.
okay,
And American Foundation for Wildlife, the full assessed staff, which also is a nonprofit, that's always been the case. Or nonprofits have always paid full taxes
Full
in the
tax,
state of
okay.
North Dakota, yeah. conservation groups always have. Let me clarify just a little bit about adjacent landowner interest. You know, these landowners have kind of explored, you know, I don't know what kind of options they've explored, but we respect what they want to do, right? And so one of the things that they've done is we've actually had 2 separate appraisals on this property. It's a difficult property in terms of extinguished all cropping rights and public access. I mean, like a recreational buyer, because it has a plots agreement on there for the next 20 years. They're difficult appraisals, so we actually had 2 separate appraisals done on this property to help determine its valuation. And then we have what's actually called a 1-year option with these landlords that we signed in December. 1 year to kind of sort out whether we can get the funding together, whether we can bring the partnership together, whether we can get the approvals together. But it's my understanding from visiting with Beverly and Dennis that, you know, this is their intent and this is what they would like to do. And there hasn't been a lot of local interest in this property because of those things that are out there on the property right now. For the next 20 years.
Andy,
Can I ask what the appraised value was?
We don't share appraised value, no, we would pay at appraised value though. And like I said, we had 2 separate appraised values because it was difficult for appraisers to determine the value of this. There just isn't a lot of sales with these very same characteristics, you know. Ag land is in soil and productivity is much more common appraisal calculations, but something that has extinguished all ag values, extinguished almost all recreational values is a difficult one, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, like for our wildlife management areas, those areas are open to hunting, and if there's fishing for those. We can sign them if there's special regulations that we would need to have, or if there were certain concerns. I'm trying to think, you know, no glass bottles, camping restrictions, people can camp for a couple days on those areas, but it's up to 10 days. If there's large activities, and we need to give them a director's permit, so there's some other special regulations on our wildlife management areas, but all these areas are key. I mean, we have it for wildlife production, and then wildlife for hunting is our primary goals. And this area then, again, waterfowl, some grouse, deer, those would be the primary species that we'd be managing for on these parcels. I don't know if Dennis, anything on that? Mary, or do you guys have any other questions about holiday or W management or
The
management?
future, oh, yeah.
I just think it's exciting I mean, much of Walsh County is farm land, and that's what we have, so I like the idea of there being another opportunity for some. Mostly wildlife, but I mean, we have a lot of hunting in this area, so, and then just that Game and Fish would manage it, I think that's kind of a win for us as a county myself.
Okay,
American Foundation for Wildlife and the Natural Resources Trust, but we really respect the decision that the landowners want to fulfill and try making that happen for them. I mean, they came to us, they said, this is where we want our land to be, and so we're trying to go through that process to make that happen for them.
that immediate area does have quite a bit of land enrolled in the plots program, so from those landowners around that area, there's a lot of interest in providing that public hunting opportunities.
I should have printed that, there isn't very many plots blocks. I think it's because the spring is left conditions of that little area right there.
There any drains you're gonna be stopping up, plugging up, or taking off, or?
Within that WRE, it's as a USDA program, they would have done any of that work when they rolled it. So if there was a drain that would, they can't stop a drain that goes through the property, right, that would access other land, but if there was a spot where they could restore a wetland, they've done it already, yes. But there isn't any additional work planned out there, and I would think the water board would have rights and control to clean drains if needed, right? So.
Paul?
So are we looking for a motion to approve this resolution? Is that what we're?
I gave you a draft resolution, the chair and commissioners, in the last, 3 acquisitions, we did a couple in McLean County and 1 in Cavalier. The county commissioners were very supportive, and we had proposed this is a draft resolution of support for that. Yeah. If you would consider that, we'd appreciate it.
Okay,
I would make a motion to approve the resolution of support.
a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bernie.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
presenting today and for your detailed explanation. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, exciting, thank you for your support, really appreciate it.
Then we'll, like I said, the ag commissioner will be in touch, we'll be talking, I'll probably be talking to Tom Mulvey here shortly. And they'll, over the next 45 days, there will be a meeting scheduled here. This advisory committee meeting, so, and that will be hosted by you at the Walsh County, so.
Okay, great. I will send this if you,
Sure. That would be wonderful, and we will attach a copy of that resolution with our formal proposal to the ag department, so they know that you've made some decisions on this property already. Yeah.
okay, great. Christie will make a quick copy and send one with you. So thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hope you keep getting rain.
Yeah.
A reasonable amount.
I know. Be careful. Yeah, that is Mark. Oh, my goodness.
Careful what we asked for, but you guys got good rain out there, right?
Oh, man, it's soaking, but we'll take it, we can get over that way.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. Well, should we take a brief break while she gets that coffee or coffee? And then we'll reconvene if she can.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, she's already here. We don't need a break. Well, do we need a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Albert well, went to church with him, nice stuff.
Yeah, let's kind of let Christie put it on pause and we think.
Yeah, oh, really, sure.
I think she's coming back.
He's circling.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah, hey, you want
So we're gonna take a quick break, Christie, so we'll have to pause the video and Order. Okay, just before we go on, I'd like to apologize. I should have recognized that we do have Karen Anderson at our meeting this morning, our legislature, and just like to thank you for all you did down at the legislative session this year, Karen. It's appreciated. I know it has to be frustrating at times, but also rewarding at times. So we won't put you on the spot and ask you a bunch of questions, even though we'd all love to. But thank you for attending our meeting this morning and for everything you did. Okay, Tanya, we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but do you mind coming up? Tanya has an update on the veteran service officer position this morning.
Yes, on the VSO position. So, you may recall I came to you last time, with the news that unfortunately David is leaving us. He's done at the end of the month. I did take some time to research things a little bit deeper, and I spoke with Brian Waters, who is the, I don't remember his official title, but he's kind of the main contact at the state VA for CVSOs. They call them County Veteran Service Officers. Am I supposed to do that? And so I did a little bit of research just to see if we should be filling this position as is or not. I'll just spare you all the details and say that, yeah, I'm confident that we need to refill this as is, as a full-time position for Walsh County. So, we have plenty of veterans in the county that are, I think the number is 977, I think is what Brian shared with me, that are considered active cases. Now, that does include, I believe, people who contacted the county for services and maybe are deceased now, but you know, they died while being like a case that we were serving essentially. So I can't speak to how many, you know, current veterans are living here, but it's somewhere, you know, in that number. So I think, and then with the VA clinic here, we need our own, because I did explore if this is something that we should be sharing with another county, if that made sense. And it just doesn't, I don't think. I really think that we should be filling this as a full-time dedicated Walsh County position. Unfortunately, of course, now we're gonna have a gap where there's a transitional period where we won't have somebody here because David's done at the end of the month. The way that the CVSOs work is that veterans are allowed to go anywhere. You know, they can go to any location. They don't have to go to the one in their county. So that number, that 977 doesn't necessarily, that's not necessarily, you know, just what we have in Walsh County. I spoke to the one in Pembina County, and she has like 5 people that come down from Winnipeg, they're American citizens, you know, that she serves. She has people coming from as far away as Bemidji, to her office. So, it's an example of the fact that we can get people from all over the place. So, I would like to just request permission, I guess, to go ahead and fill that position as is, as a full-time position for Walsh County.
I'll make a motion to fill the VSO position as full-time.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I know, I go to the Legion quite a bit, talk to the guys over there in Park River stuff, and there's a lot of support for it. They really enjoy it, you know, it's come around since the last, let's say 10 years when we were way back when. And they're very, very appreciative of it and wanna see it continue.
Yeah.
I mean, the voice of the veterans to me is very important, and I agree with you, I think we need somebody full-time.
Yeah, I think we have some good things going, and David was doing more outreach than I realized. He didn't like to toot his own horn very much, and so you know, we're really appreciative of that. I've been hearing that many times now since he's announced his resignation, that he was doing, you know, he was reaching out to those veterans, and they really do appreciate it, so.
Do you, what kind of caseload he has?
David and I spoke a little bit, but not really. I think that there is a software program, and I spoke to Brian down at the state. And I think it will become a really, really big priority for this new person for us to fully utilize that software system so that we can maybe put a figure on the current caseload numbers. The only number that I was able to get was that 977 number. So their workload is really, it ebbs and flows, of course, a lot, and there's so many steps to the process. I was visiting with the Pembina County one, and there's something called intent to file. So it's when the first contact that you have with a veteran and you start just building their case. She is booking out into 2026 with her intent to files because of, she's just gained a reputation, and David said the same thing, that she's just really got a touch, you know, got a knack for digging into things with these veterans, and so they worked together a lot, David and Rebel did, and so, I couldn't get a current number from David, but it's one of those things in visiting with Brian too, that we will work to really fully capitalize on that, that it's called Vetrospect, and it's a software program. David maybe hasn't been using all the pieces of it that we can. He was doing wonderful work regardless, right? But I think it would be great moving forward for us to have some numbers for us to just understand a little bit better about what we're doing, so, yeah.
Does this come out of the general fund?
No, it's a separate mill, right, Christine? Yep, it's a separate mill levy.
I think it's $91,000. Total.
I don't recall what the budget was, I know we increased it a little bit,
Yes.
I was thinking we were in that 75,000, but I don't recall.
Oh, that's true.
One thing moving forward with David. Leaving with the positive attitude with the vets, I think somebody coming in will be accepted.
Welcome, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, I
Yes.
agree. And I did speak with both Brian and Rebel. Unfortunately, about a week after David resigned, the Cavalier County BSO also resigned, so I know Rebel's kind of bracing for maybe an influx in her caseload. However, she's willing to help us, help mentor and maybe do, be a point of contact and resource for the new person. They do have a week-long training when we hire somebody new. They go down and spend a full week with Brian down in Fargo, and he does a really intensive introduction to the CVSO program and all that they do. So that's good to know, because you always worry about the training when we're gonna have a gap like that. And he also even offered, if we wanted him to, he's willing to come and sit in at interviews and be a resource of, any capacity that we would like him to, so. Yeah.
Yes, and it is just under 92.
92, yeah, good memory then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they do have their own mills?
Correct. Yes, separate.
Paul,
I don't have a lot to add. I would just say that I did speak with Tanya about it, as the portfolio holder, and I agree with everything she just said.
Yeah.
Would make a motion to go ahead and advertise this if
I
that's.
think we already have, we have one on the table, we have a
Yeah.
motion in a second, yeah, we're just in the midst of discussion, so, yeah. that's
I missed
fine.
that.
Yeah, that's fine. I would just like to add that, when you bring up that your portfolio holder, so that we ensure with the new BSO coming on, that they are utilizing Vetrospect. Vetrospect,
Yeah.
because, so that we can get updates
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
commissioner meeting.
Yeah.
So we have an idea of how many people we're potentially serving.
Yeah.
I know it's not as easy as, here's a straight number.
No.
But like you said, at least maybe the contacts that we're getting in a week or a month or whatever.
Well, and I think
it may
it's
be.
a really robust system if we, but Brian talked about that, he said, the range of how it's being utilized across the whole state varies widely, right? So I know that it's being used, it's just that there's so much more we can put into it.
Mhm.
And then I've heard reports at other commission meetings, where the VSO can come and say, we had $320,000 come into the county in the past quarter of veterans benefits, like that's the type of data we can pull up from that if we really use it to its fullest capacity. And that was a fictional number. I don't know what's a realistic number. So, but it's the point that we can probably get a lot more information out of it. And
Absolutely.
David did a fantastic job regardless. So I'm very appreciative, because I'm hearing, since he resigned, I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback, which is wonderful. So,
Amy.
Yeah, 2 points that I think David didn't toot his horn enough, and in this program, my gut says would validate, right, what they're doing, so it would give them something to be able to present that would show, not that we need that, but that's the part that's hard, when you're looking at numbers, it's nice to be able to see that. And then my other question, is Rebel using the software pretty much as, so
Yeah.
she'd be a great resource to.
excellent
Got
resource. Yep. And we talked, I don't remember who was involved or if it's any of the same ones or not when we hired David. I'm trying to think of which commissioners were involved. And we talked about this then, because we knew this at that time. So I think it's just maybe a matter of keeping up with it too, as we get a new person trained and, requesting for feedback to see how that's going to start utilizing that program to a greater, capacity. So, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Paul,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yep.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Okay, I'll get that advertised right away.
Okay, great,
And
thank
thanks
you.
for that.
Did you have one other
I
thing?
do have one thing, thank you. So I didn't think to add this to the agenda, so I apologize, this is probably considered an out of agenda item then. But I felt like I should probably touch base with you knowing that we have the closing period for the auditor treasurer role is this Friday. And I'm gonna be wanting to conduct interviews as quickly as possible. And so I assumed that the portfolio commissioner is Christie. And so Christie, but I figured it maybe should be brought to you as a board. A lot of times we have two commissioners, so something you might wanna discuss to figure out who else you want on that interview panel.
Especially when you're chair and portfolio holder.
Right, right,
Right.
so it would be nice to have another commissioner
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there, so.
and I apologize, I
anybody-
didn't think to add it to the agenda, I
Yeah.
didn't cross my mind until yesterday.
When do you kind of think interviews would be that might weigh into their decision
No,
on
well, I
who
guess-
volunteers?
Realistically, I would like to see them happen in the first part of next week, or at least by midweek. It
Okay.
closes Friday, if I recall correctly, I think it's, right, so, I would like to see them happen next week, I guess, and I don't want it to go more than a week max.
Oh, they want somebody.
Bernie, want to?
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Perfect, so then.
You have quite a few apps.
I wouldn't say quite a few, but we have a few, so, yep, and it doesn't close till Friday and it's Tuesday, you know, so it's very possible we'll get more, so,
Mhm.
yep. But,
That's
so,
all
okay,
good.
perfect,
I have
thank
a
you.
question,
Oh,
are we, do you have an update on, exit interviews for some of the people that are leaving?
So, I don't really have much to update, but yes, I will be conducting, I haven't conducted any yet because none of them have actually left yet. But, Paul had asked me about the exit interview process and if we're conducting them and how they're happening. And so, previously what we had done is we had a form that was provided when people came to do, a lot of times they would do like exit type paperwork with the payroll, you know, auditor's office. And so they were always provided a document, they could complete it on their own if they wished to do so, or my contact information was at the top, and I would sit down and do an interview with them, a face-to-face one, if they were wanting to do it face-to-face. So I will be conducting exit interviews with all of these individuals, I haven't yet, typically they're done closer to, you know, right before they leave. And so, and Paul and I were visiting about it, wondering, you know, Paul had asked who's typically included in those. Previously, I've done them mostly on my own. But if there's any feedback on that, I find that if you get too many people in the room, a lot of times people aren't very forthcoming, right? Not saying I'm opposed to others being involved, but that's just been my experience, is that they're, and sometimes people aren't even willing to do that, you know, people don't feel comfortable or whatever, so. But that's something that I'll be handling with all of these, the recent resignations that we've had, so.
I agree with you, less is more. On an exit interview, I think the
Mm-hmm.
less people we have involved, the better.
Yeah, it just sometimes.
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Well, sometimes you just get more open feedback, right,
Right,
about the things
right.
that are, like you said, good, bad, or otherwise, you know, what can we learn from them?
Mhm.
I think that's great, so I appreciate that you brought that up, Paul, thank you. Okay,
Okay, thank
Anything
you
else?
very much.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
anything else for Tanya, anyone? Okay,
okay,
thank you.
thanks.
All right, Jason, you're up with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets again.
Always,
Always.
can never be a quick one. We'll see, like, so, more signatures for the fun. Yours are on the yellow one.
Okay, but
Yeah.
I'll wait till we have them. They're not from last meeting, right? They're.
No, well, it's combination last meeting and this meeting,
Oh,
so,
and I'm yellow.
yep.
Okay.
Good morning. The first item that's on the agenda for everybody is the Dibble Drain Bridge. Last week we had one hit on Friday. We had the sheriff department out, took a look at it. Met with the water board, I guess it'd be a week over a week ago now. Water board and us are looking for moving forward to replace that bridge with a culvert. That bridge is right in this location in Acton Township. Implement came, made the corner, didn't make, the implement didn't make it onto the bridge. The outside tandem didn't make it, and they pulled it up and took out the bridge boards and a girder and some other damages. Nobody saw it, nobody came forward to it. It's a minimum of $12,000 of damage that nobody wants to step forward to address. These type of things are becoming more and more occurring. With this type of stuff,
Yeah, can I just ask, wouldn't a farmer have insurance to cover that?
I would think so.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So why would people not come forward? Why would they put it on the backs of the taxpayers to pay for it? Well,
Sure, I just think too, I don't think it's always the farmers. I think it's the help
yeah,
sometimes,
no,
right?
no,
Like
I
it's-
mean, I
The farmer's
agree.
responsible for
But
that.
I agree, but if they're not being told, I mean, it doesn't mean your employees are telling you things.
But
It
you're
could
gonna say
happen
the
and they're
damage.
scared.
You're going to see the damage.
I agree, but I'm just saying there could be a side where they don't know. If you would hope. But
I think it's just,
The farmer was contacted and was on scene, and nobody admitted to any knowledge of what happened, even though the tracks led into their field.
what's
Oh
really,
my gosh,
what's
this is
really,
so disappointing.
what's really getting disgusting is, just like Ron said, they checked out and everything, and didn't admit to it, but. How do these guys do that, and then the rest of the taxpayers, or now it's gonna be the water board, cause it's on the drain, have to foot this bill?
Right,
It's getting awful sickening, no different than tearing down signs or anything else. And where does this stop? Where does your common sense or your due diligence to society? You do something wrong, you got insurance, let your insurance company pay for it. Why should the county and the taxpayers do it? And it's getting awful sickening.
And sure, I agree. I think it's similar when it comes to health insurance and how much we pay for people that don't, I mean, it goes across. There's taxes for, unfortunately, not everybody feels that same way. So I 100% agree. I'm just saying, there are situations that are not always, easy cut and dry. You would hope people would recognize this is my responsibility. That doesn't always happen.
but when it is pretty black and white,
I agree, 100% agree.
that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
one of the people claimed that they saw it at 5 o'clock, and I'm like, well, why didn't you call me? If you saw this happen at 5 o'clock, why didn't you call me at 5 o'clock? Why am I hearing by 8:30 at night from somebody else? And that was one of the farmers that was there with their equipment you could see the tracks pointing blank. I got there early, quick enough between the time, right at the notification, that you could see the tracks directly, trace it out, and video of the tracks, you can see everything. So it's really to that point, but I mean, it's point blank farm equipment, cultivator, players, so.
Madam Chair, is there nothing, Ron, like, I mean, if you have pictures and you have video and there's no avenue to be able to say we can proceed with charges or something? I mean, even the threat of that in the thing,
You could sue them civilly.
just when you have so much proof, that's my only thing with something like that, but I get that's more work on us. Frustrating.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, it is.
So when it dries up, the guys be ripping the bridge deck off. We'll scavenge the parts that we can. And then, we're also waiting for load restrictions, because we'll want our excavator out there for that, so we can't get out there right now. So we'll go from there. But the water board's moving forward with hydraulics on their drains to see that, and we'll do a 60-40 split on that one. With that, we had another new one show up just this last week on the Fairdale drain, where a culvert collapsed. Just 50-year-old culvert, and it went down. It would be right here. This would be Fairdale. It'd be right here on 75th Street. We're working together on that one as well. It's big enough for it'll be a culvert where we'll have to do a split on that one as well. It's a culvert, but it's big enough to be considered a minor bridge. So we'll have a 60-40 split on that one as well.
It's over the Fairdale drain,
Yeah, over the
but that's
Fairdale.
a federal drain, right?
Yeah,
It's a
I believe it's a 200, yeah, but it's still the water board and us and responsible for it, so. Yeah. So what, we met with about that one this morning, so we're moving forward for those repairs as well, so that road is closed for right now, but. Culverts was put in 72 with the project and. The bottom of it rusted off and the top of it's crushed now, there's no.
Then they would culvert.
9 foot.
53 years old, you know, and you had waters down standing on it almost all the time.
Yeah.
So it's surprising it lasted that long.
So those are the items we're dealing with the water board, we're working together on those, so we'll have those things coming up. The next item on the agenda I have is for VRJ 0050061. This is the Minto Bridge projects that we discussed last time, or we agreed to move forward. We had an interview for the construction engineering on it, we only had KLJ for, the interested party. Interviewed him, and we have to create a memo with recommendations for us to hire KLJ to move forward with the projects. So that's what I'm asking you for you today is authorization to move forward with hiring KLJ as the construction engineers for this. Makes sense being that they know the design. And it's one thing I've talked to DOT about multiple times is why do we have to do a split? Why can't we just do this at the beginning instead of all these extra pieces? Cause really just delays everybody, so. Looking for a motion for that. Also, we have the contracts up here from, for the project, from industrial builders as well for signatures.
Okay, do I have a motion as stated? For Kale,
I'll make a motion, we move forward with both of them.
I'll second.
any further discussions? Then,
Do you have a price on the bids?
That one was 1.39, I believe.
But I mean, it's the KLJ part of it.
They have to roll with that afterwards, and it's all part of, it'll be part of the project and funded and part of the cost share of it, but. It's, they don't have, they can't top prices until after contracts are signed.
But it's a $1.3 million bridge.
Yep.
Only.
aren't they all $1 million bridges nowadays?
Just about.
Okay.
Pretty much when we say bridge, we started at million and some.
Million, yeah.
Culverts are 750, bridges are 1 million and more.
Any other discussions? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Denny,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Ernie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Chase Building stairs. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but we marked them off and when you go to Cooper, the west, the worst, the stairs on top are falling apart. Before I started, there was concrete put on top of them and the concrete contractor was here and stated that he said he spoke with Sharon when it was done, saying that putting this on was just a Band-Aid, it's really not gonna fix anything. We had another contractor that come over and he said he figures that, the mason, there's water that got trapped between the concrete and the masonry and everything below it's cracking up. So the concrete on top they put on didn't fall apart, it's the actual brick underneath it that is, so that's gonna have to be replaced. We have a local contractor, mason contractor I'm aware of in the county, if there's somebody else that does, they can. Please let me know, but they're working on a price for it to do repairs, so probably end up ripping it all apart, and rebuilding it. It sounds like he did it the last time it was done, so.
Is the door used, the west side of Chase?
No, east side,
Oh.
no, sorry,
West side.
no, it
West
was
side.
Yeah, it would be the left side, and there are people that use it. Yeah. But people,
I normally come in the south.
yeah,
Most people that park on the street who use it. I've seen a lot of people, if they park on the street, doesn't ever walk in.
Access points to that building. We had the same issue in my home, right? We had an original cement stairs, covered it, got a Band-Aid, had to redo it completely, pull it out. I mean, we didn't do concrete again. We put in a weather resistant Trex material, something of that nature. Much more affordable, and I think it still looks nice, so I'm just saying, you know, from a mason, especially on. When we have so many points on that building, but I also understand it's a brick building, so aesthetically.
and then up front here at the same time, I had contractor take a look at these, cause he had put caps on both sides of the main stairs to the courthouse and those were failing. as well. But what that is, he says, is when they opened up and were doing work, they can see that there apparently there's a lot of moisture underneath those front steps on the west side of the main doors of the courthouse. And that moisture is moving around and creating issues there. So I don't know if we have a crack in a piping of some sort from our well that we would never know, because it doesn't have a meter on it. Is that part of the committee said that when she guys were garden was, she never has pressure for it, even when there's a pump on it. So I'm assuming that original line that's in the building has a break in it and it's leaking to the outside. I have no idea, but that one will take significantly more work than this. So right now, at this point in time, not really looking forward to moving with that. Because it's just, it'd be a monster of a project. Try and dry this out and redo everything. The stairs themselves are functional, there's nothing going on, it's just an aesthetic from the caps next to it. That's also why the new concrete between the flagpole and the building is all broken up, is because of the moisture in the base underneath it. So that's where we're at with those. The bigger one though is the courthouse itself. It is due for being cleaned from the exterior, and in between all the limestone on the outside, there's grouting. Some of that grouting is cracking and failing and falling out. Last year, I got a price after the budget was done. Well, I'm gonna update a price for this year's budget. But I'm expecting that for the cleaning and the tucking is gonna be about $104,000. There's only one company I know that does this type of work, and they're out of Carrington, and we need to get on their schedule like sooner than later. So,
When's the last time we had that clean and tuck? How before you got here?
yeah, from what I'm hearing from different people, it's like 10 to 15 years ago.
I'm gonna go, it doesn't seem that long, does it, Karen?
It's not 15, I
I
don't,
was 17, long time.
Yeah.
maybe 8.
What do they recommend? Like, how often are you supposed to have it done?
Depends on the building. On this one, or when you have stabilization and you're not having, it's not that big of a problem. But I would think that every 7 to 10 years it should be done. So. But
So we're about on track.
hopefully, yeah, I don't know when the last time was done.
I can't remember.
Okay,
So I just wanna let everybody know that one will be coming in the upcoming budget season. I'll be looking forward to having him give me an updated price on it, so we can move forward with that. From the IT department, I have one last thing for them, and that's a good news thing. We had interviews yesterday. And Thomas Thompson has accepted a position with us, so he will be graduating high school here in Grafton on Sunday. And he'll start with us on June 2nd as a full-time employee.
oh, my,
He got a CDL through the program for the boat head and had a great interview, so.
Lots of experience with just maintenance on trucks and everything too.
okay,
So it'll be good. He's done maintenance and on trucks, oil changes, tire changes. We've done all those different things. He's run skid steers, tractors, hauled potatoes, grain, gravel.
it's farm kid.
So farm kid.
What's his name?
Thomas Thompson.
So he's Jim's grandson,
Grandson.
Gus's son.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
okay, good to hear, good to hear. So what position is he filling?
It'll be a maintenance tech 2. So it'll be a beginning spot, so it'll be with our gravel, running their gravel trucks.
So are
Snowplow
you,
operator and everything else.
do you have all your positions filled then?
Everyone in the field is filled.
Great,
It was interesting seeing, I'll call him a young kid, that young.
Yeah.
The knowledge and experience he's got already.
Yeah.
You don't see that often.
The only thing we don't have is our summer staff. So,
Oh, still looking for summer staff, okay,
yeah, 74,
and how many do you have?
1.
Yeah.
So,
You got that other part of the bridge and crew and them helping with the.
yeah, so, we can't take the excavator out. The bridge crew has been helping with the asphalt. And George Midville has been with the asphalt crew as well, doing cracks and. As of yesterday, they finished everything on County 9 that we had mill and overlaid a couple of years ago. That'll be getting the chip seal this, end of June, early July. And that's stretch on number 12. So far in the last couple of weeks, well, in the last month since. Really, last 20 days, they've done 14 miles of cracks and
How many did we do in total last year?
19.
What? Okay, 14 miles,
Within 14 miles.
so we're playing catch up this year, big time.
Yeah, they're.
We're way ahead of
They're
the
really
game.
putting it out.
Staff, we can, thank you to summer staff, we're gonna get back to what we should be doing, yes.
That is awesome to hear.
So they're getting after it, they're doing well. So they're on county 12 now, so, they had a couple of people yesterday that didn't like to slow down through the site, so I'll be talking with Ron and them and let them know exactly where we are, so. We can try and get people to slow down for it. What people also should remember is the speeding tickets with the Karen's help and the legislature just got more expensive to do construction zones, so. If you wanna keep your money in your pocket, slow down and give the guys some time. If they have too much of a risk, we close the road.
Ron,
If not, we're just gonna have to close the road because no one should have to put their life in jeopardy to be working on roads and people just need to slow down.
Take care of our crew.
agree 100%. Something for you on the high school help. I mean, I know school is out Friday for a lot of schools, but. What about a flyer? Oh, just a flyer that gets sent home with the kids and,
That's right.
advertising for our summer help.
I had sent stuff to the schools.
You did already.
Almost sent it again, but. And so I'll put it on Facebook again today, it's going back in the papers, and the press, and it has been in the press and the record, but we'll get back out again.
I'm gonna chat a little bit with Mike Hanson too to see, cause you didn't do the job fair out there. Just to get a sense from him for next year, I mean, maybe there's a little incentive within it, but it's like, you've got a captive audience at those things. I really think that I'd like to hear what he recommends or feels that would be a positive that we engage that.
Well, and the other thing is, well, in the training that we had last week, we're finding that other people are hiring things, but we just can't, with the federal funding, the different things we have, we can't hire someone that's on a team. Tommy and I have spoken about it extensively, we can't risk that, so. Other people somehow are doing it, they're just looking the other way or whatever, but I know Nelson County, they were saying that they're offering $20 an hour and they're not getting anybody. For summer staff, Grand Forks quit looking for summer staff. They don't do that type of thing anymore, with the only summer staff they have is usually older people that are doing ditch mowing for them. Other counties that have a waiver, and I don't know how you do a waiver on something like that, if you're not 18, so. I was hoping there's the things we could do with someone being attorney team during the summer to have them do some things or the other, but. It's just not feasible without putting us at risk, so I'm not willing to do that. So,
And
How are you gonna heal up some of these frost boils? I mean, some of these roads could almost be closed.
there's one in particular that probably should be. That's County 1. We're looking at it, and we may have to close it if you look at this. When. This is a stretch before you get to. Between 12, so this is between Hoople and 32 that. I was talking about that, it's in such bad condition. This rut, the pictures don't do it justice, this is about a 6-inch high rut. You can see where the trucks are going through, if they're running this lane and this lane, pushing up here and pushing up there. This is what our normal wood sections. This is a soft spot in the road. This is up in the hills where we have drainage, we have height, we have elevation. And this is about an 8-inch high rut right in the middle of it. So on a safety wise, this is, and County 1 does this to us every year. And it's just, you can see the black dirt pushing up to the middle of it. One of the things we may have to take a look at doing with this road in particular and some of our other ones is digging them all up and putting in drain tile that can expose it out to take that moisture that's there that's causing these things to solidify the base and get that to the ditches. This thing that you always know is where most of the time when you have these type of problems, you have some spot where you're not getting the water sitting or moving. County 1 runs east-west and it's on the escarpment, so it's got drainage, it flows, it's moving, but we're still having these issues. So I don't know if when the clays that were moved into it just swell up that much. If it was blue clay, it's not good for roads. So we found that on Route 9 and other places where we've done excavations, where we have that type of situation. You know, this is what we're dealing with. This is right before, this would be, Highway 32, just north of Edinburgh. Right here is the spots where we have, this water that you see in the ditch is moving fast.
Was that on the, yeah, that's where that drain.
Drain out,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're draining out of pump,
Yeah.
Yep.
right here.
Is there any liability issue with these things?
People going fast and speeds, yeah, we could. Definitely. So one of the things that we have is that road isn't on a weight restriction, talking to other counties, they weight restrict all their gravel. But they don't understand how we don't. From talking to Pete, he said he remembers when we used to do that, and then we just decided that farmers need to be able to move things and go, so they kind of stopped doing that. We're looking at options and seeing what we can do with some of these things so we can take care of it. One of the ideas I have is County 11 holds up pretty well. We don't have the frost boils that runs the same stretch. It'd be a couple miles south instead of going north to the county line to get farmers back and forth between the Edinburgh and Google side. So there's a one bridge on there that's 6 ton right now. If we remove that bridge and replace it with a box culvert, we can have that stretch be, where it's not load posted between 32 and 18. It'll be able to make it all the way across, just like they can on one, which in the long term, that's what we take our bridges for replacements, is to try and make sure that our bridges are the arteries that can get to the interstates and the state bridges, so we can get everything on. So that's kind of one of the issues that we have going with it.
Do we need to be signing these?
We flag them most of the time, some of the flags we've been putting up have been coming down as fast as we're putting them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're not laying in the ditch, so someone, it's one thing if they're laying in the ditch and they're sitting there. We can put them back up, there's spots that where we flagged them and 2 days later we're flagging it again and our flags aren't in the ditch and they're nowhere to be seen. So. It's not like we're putting the flags in the middle of the road, we put them off to the sides. So what happens with them, I don't know. But yeah, this could be a problem if somebody comes through there with equipment to rip somebody off, 100% could be a liability issue for it. And this is by far our worst one this year. 19 by Fordville or Forest River was bad that way this year as well.
West of Forest River, before the curve.
So,
While you're looking for that, could we do flags, some kind of warning flag prior, because I know the actual site is flagged. But the problem is sometimes by the time you come up on that site, like I know we have one out in our area on County 19. You come over the hill. And you're coming at a normal speed, you come over the hill and then boom, there it is and it's flagged, but there's no warning, prior.
yeah, we'll have to get some regular signs to put up for them on some of those sites.
I just think somebody that's not familiar, that could be bad over a hill like that.
These 2 miles on 18 and then this mile on the north were all bad this year as well. Bobby got them covered up right before the rain, but if you had a packer, it would probably went better because we could have tried to shed some of the water off instead of soaking down into it. But that's kind of where we're at with them. So we're gonna have to do something on County 4. We have the issues. We took some core samples this spring, we always have issues on that road. And we're gonna be sending those out today to Las Vegas to a company that has stabilizers for the sub bases to see if our material is compatible with their solutions. To see if they can get it where it'll be something we can put in our subgrades to help base us up. It's just something we're starting to look at to see if some of these other options from chemical stabilizations will help us. People use concrete for that and made chlorides. But I don't think the main chlorides are gonna work for us on this. The concrete could, but this is, we don't have specialty contractors to do those things, so hopefully with this other product is something that we could actually do internally and not have to have those type of costs. So we're looking at it and trying to see what we can do, but in the long run, it might just be us digging things up and putting in some drainage and rock, drain pad on our own roads, so that we can keep the water base and dial it, help us out from springs. Yeah, that or putting load restrictions on some. So. I do have good news for you though today, which I don't have very often. The bridge west of Nash, when we spent that $50,000. We went to KLJ, they did the work, we couldn't do anything without having the bridge inspectors do it, according to North Dakota DOT, so the bridge inspectors were out there. They just took a look at it last week and it is no longer restricted. There is no weight restrictions on that bridge out there, that patch. So it went from 5 ton to over 30 ton, which we did better than we thought we were going to do.
For our $50,000 temporary fix.
Yeah.
For a fix.
Cause we were supposed to replace it all and everything, and all of a sudden now we're back up to weight. I went, wow.
Okay, so we spent 50,000. They're saying it's good to go now, so now what?
Now we're trying to find different spots where you can put those box culverts that we were.
So we don't need to use those
There,
there.
being used in there. So we're purchasing, so one of the spots we're looking at putting them and have KLJ looking at is getting it in on that County 11. On that one where I just talked about for the bridge, so we can make it go through there. We're also looking at some of our other minor bridges that are in the system on the county roads to see what we can do to get those swapped out. And so we're looking at everything we can right now. Ryan and the guys have been out taking a look at some different sites to see if there's something that they feel like is a good fit, so. We're searching.
Hagen Bridge.
Hagen Bridge is the state, will be paid by the state and it's supposed to be coming out for bid soon.
So you got,
So, I lost my train.
so in a matter of a year or two, the inspections change that much. You know, and I don't know if you gave us an answer yesterday, did you look it up, was it a different crew that inspected both times or?
Yes.
See, so now we're not getting the consistency, you get a different crew and all of a sudden the inspection change.
They just cost us how much money? That is very annoying.
So
I mean, it's good news, but I'm sorry, that was a hard decision the last meeting, or whenever we acted on it.
Yeah.
That was a very hard decision, and now that just cost us a lot of money.
Who knows what the
Safe.
inspection is?
Yeah.
Well, that's,
But
when
yeah.
is the next one? When will they, do we give some time?
We'll expect it in 2 years.
2 years.
Next time there's a bill, I'm still gonna say no.
Next
That's
time,
interesting.
next time we'll inspect it is 2 years from now. So,
Maybe, can we call and request the same inspector? I mean, that's my thing, is like, I want the same inspectors inspecting bridges. If you're gonna demand who it is, I want the same people looking at it.
They
So I
swap
guess
it.
I'll say no.
I know, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
There's no guarantee that the next time they come back, they have the same standard.
So there's no just saving these box culverts for when we need them. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm crazy about the idea of, let's just replace something so we can use the box culverts.
It's gonna take a lot of storage. To put those things, so, I don't know, I don't have a place that I can store them.
But in the same respect of KOJ and everything, look at these and they think we need them, I would say use them. You know, not to go throw them in there,
No,
make sure we do a look and say, okay, this is getting bad and. Yeah,
we're looking at all our, so one of the things that is easy about our bridges that are over 20 feet is they're inspected. So we can go through those and we've. And Waste and Authority spent over an hour just piecing through the main going, well, that one's not a candidate, that one's not a candidate. And going through our port and other bridges, we take a look at these things. So the next thing we looked at is. Using minor county roads, our minor bridges under 20, we haven't inspected in 15 years. So we know some of them, but we don't know all of them, on what their actual conditions are. So that bridge that on County 11, we know it's a 6 ton bridge, it's posted, that's where it is, it was a concrete bridge that the county extended out and put wood to the south side of it. So we know that one at some point in time is gonna become an issue for us. If we have these box covers, so we can swap that out and have it, and maybe we do end up keeping some of them. And maybe we don't find a home for all of them, but at least this way we can get rid of something. And we're not just saying, okay, we spent all this money, now we're having to sit here. to try to find somebody else to buy them from us at that size, I
don't need them. I like the idea on Lebanon just because it opens it up to heavier traffic using that road than one.
well, then we can restrict them
Yes,
and push people to 11.
if they follow the sun.
Right.
I mean,
Yankee Bridge.
Yankee Bridge, the bridge deck is poured, for the beach a week and a half ago, and so we're just waiting for. The soil guys to come through, they're gonna be coming in June here coming, where they can get the approaches and everything put back to it, finish the dirt work portions of it. And then when they get done with that one, that portion, they'll be moving to the Thorson Bridge for that replacement. For that box culvert, so.
Ernie,
Good news, yesterday when we had our interviews, we talked, Stuart and Tyrone were there and they bladed your told me,
my fault.
your told me. And they actually reported, he said it really worked well this time, the moisture was right and everything, he said it was the best that it's been in a long time.
He has the 3 blades on there when I.
Yeah, but he said the conditions were just perfect, they went out with it full force, and the end result, the Packers and everything, and he says it turned out nice, so hopefully we solved something for a little bit there.
We had some more base one ply, we put that in there too, so this is the actual picture of when they were out there working it, Bobby and Bob were on this stretch. You can tell this is Bobby, but there's no Packer. This is Bob, because he's got the Packer. It is a night and day comparison between the two, that's where they're paying for that Packer. They're about 35,000 each.
But we could use another one.
Yeah,
We honestly, it'd be nice to have them on all 4 blades.
when I was on that road, I met both of them. And yeah, you.
See it. You know, where that, how that packer works and holds everything down to it. When we get to prime conditions like this. Having another packer out there instead of throwing some, a 4th person out there with our tire wheeler. That day was cold and windy and freezing, it's not a cab. It'd be nice to have.
Wonder how fast are they going on there now?
I'm afraid to find out.
Well, get the testimonials prepared because it sounds like flex fund applications are coming soon, right?
Cause yesterday, even when you talk about that, I don't remember the name of the program, I was asking Stuart and that, and he said, God, they can tell the length of the vehicle and how fast it's going and everything, just look back and I went, man. Cause it's not, the old day of the strip across the road, it's a, what is it, digital radar. So they could tell.
One thing I was gonna mention, Christie, when you get these complaints, you should be logging them. You've got
Right,
and
well, everyone's went to Jason, do you have one? Okay. Then I'll have to start. So, okay, on to Hami.
Was out there last week, mowing looks good, the one bathhouse is up and running, has been.
Is that Hami? Yeah, there is looking.
No, I don't have pictures of it. We got a little bit of stuff to work on out there. Last year when we fixed the water leak into the camper. Or into the trailer for Susan, we had a couple of things that went plumbed back or weren't aligned back in. So Jay Sidney's been out there reconnecting water lines. We can get the small comfort station and back up online, the small bathhouse. We have some more cleanup and things to take care of out there. The docks will be going in tomorrow, was gonna be today, but with the rain, we're not doing that today. So the docks will be secured in tomorrow. Also tomorrow, we'll be removing some more garbage items from there. She's been working on taking some things out of the trailer and out of the buildings and everything. We'll be touching base with her again here today to see where she's at for the next time they're coming down. The trailer that she has out there had a pinhole leak underneath in the kitchen. The trailer is basically a complete loss from mold and water. She hadn't been there in about 2.5 to 3 weeks between time, and the place is destroyed. You could smell the mold from that front door from about 8 feet away. So her sheriff's adjuster was coming there last week. She was meeting with them. I don't know where we're at with that, but that's kind of where we are. So.
Okay, so she has 10 days to get that trailer removed. May 31st is D-Day. She will have it out, correct?
I I keep telling her, yes.
Madam Chair, what if she doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
After the insurance pays for the trailer and we're gonna be stuck with it. That's my,
Well, let's not plant the seed.
well, but we're talking about it.
Madam Chair,
Danny,
I drove through there on my way down here this morning and yeah, the lawn of the, or that mowed, weed eated, it looks good. You know,
good to hear. So we've got the camp post in place. He is living there now.
Yeah.
Correct? We have the mowing in place. We just need the trailer out and all the trash around.
Well, I have a lot of stuff left to do up there, for some other things, some doorknob replacements and other different stuff like that. But yeah, we're getting closer. So far I have spent over, probably about 45 hours out there this year that I normally never would. So that's 45 hours that I understand as part of my portfolio, as part of what I'm responsible for, but it's also 45 hours that I have to moving from the highway department and everything else. Setting the guys out there to do it, they're more important on the roads. So there's that aspect of this all too, that's an unforeseen cost aspect, I don't know. I've been back out there again this week for stuff. I've had to go out there on weekends for different calls for different things and things like that too, so.
Can you have your new, we hired a new janitor, correct? Can that individual be involved out there or help in any way? Since a brand new employee coming on?
We're full with them here right now, and it wasn't really what we intended for, it was bring-
I know it wasn't intended, but
He wouldn't probably have the knowledge and experience, just like when Polar was out there. The wire, it went to the trailer in the garage and the internet, and they had a debunker there, and Polar wouldn't even go in the trailer house because of the mold. So really, yeah.
Amy,
I do think, we knew this was gonna be a transition, so I do feel that it is what it is with you needing to be out there, but the goal being is that we get this efficient, right? We get into a place where it sounds like we're steps forward at this point, with what's in place, and it's just, yeah, the getting the trailer and stuff off, and then I think we should be in a better place with Omni this summer is the goal.
Were you able to get the cell phone discontinued or not yet?
Yeah, I still get waste many calls for things on that one, off of there, yeah, it's a phone, but to get everything transferred over, it's not transferred yet, there's forms and different things that are all transferred for it. So. And then, when people are calling at nights to make reservations, because they go call that phone when they have issues, so I deal with that stuff. That's all stuff that Susan used to do as part of her job.
Do you just direct them to Rover?
I have to direct them to Rover, but they have to, some of them are having issues, we have to talk through them too, so. Yeah,
Well, can they call between the hours of 8 and 4:30 to the courthouse and talk to Tammy?
and most people are calling at 7 or 8 o'clock at night when they want camp. So,
Or when they're off their job.
right,
Well, I think we have office hours.
Put a message on
Yeah.
there and direct them to Rover or leave a message and then you answer it during hours or
Yeah.
have Tammy. I mean, you just,
I think that can easily be controlled.
Take a load off you.
I don't think you should have to be answering those calls at 8 o'clock at night.
Something happens, to make sure the highway's your priority instead of Humvee.
Right,
oh, it is, trust me, it's.
right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'll need to sit before that, I would 100%.
And I would say a firm reminder to Susan that everything is cleared out by May 31st.
I'll be talking to her today.
Okay, appreciate it.
Well, that's everything I had, unless you guys have any more questions for me.
Good. All right, thank you, Jason, appreciate it. Okay, Christie, you have an update on the primary resident credit testing scheme?
Yes. So Senate Bill 2201 was signed. It was the first bill of the legislative session that backdated the primary resident credit for trusts. So the state has been working through the applications and sent us, and we had a quick turnaround to get these. So what we had to do was reverse all the payments, reverse the bill, recreate the bill, and then reapply all the payments to get this to where we needed to be to submit to TAB. with the election and all that, I didn't have a ton of time, to look through them. We had about 60, well, we had about 75 of them actually on there. And as I was going through the list, some of them already got the credit. So the state list, they didn't even know that they had sent payment for it already. So, I removed a bunch. I talked to Shelley at the tax commission's office. She said, just take them off the list or whatever, and we'll be fine with those. So then I was seeing emails with the election. I didn't have time to look at it right away, but there were other counties that were going through the list and these weren't even trust parcels. So I feel like I have to tell you guys about this piece of it. They were going through the deeds and making sure that they were trusts, and they weren't trusts. So I did include in the packet an email that we received from Shelley. And it says in here, the intent of the legislature is to be generous with this credit. So let's err on the side of trusting the applicant, stating that they have a trust. I'm sorry for the change in direction, and she went on to proceed, but so that was the last communication I had heard from her, is that this list, they went through the list. The tax commissioner sent us a list. It has been determined that each of the attached trusts and our mobile home parcels qualify for the resident credit. My feel and my stance on it is this is a state program. It's not a county program. So I don't feel like I have to audit their program. I don't have the time and I don't have the resources for that. They provided me a list of parcels. I went through the list, did what I was supposed to do on the county level, and away I went. In the meantime, the deadline to submit it was Friday. So of course I got them submitted. But there was another county that I was working with that was going through and looking, and some of them aren't even residential structures. We submitted to the state tax commission, we submitted all of our files, what our tax codes are. So I did look after the fact, and there are parcels that are getting this credit that are not residential structures. There's commercial structures, there is farmland that we have, but I don't feel like it. So we had 1,800 on the upload originally. I did not go through those 1,800, and that's kind of the precedence. When we get the next one, are we going through every single one? It's a state program. My stance on this is that these taxpayers, they apply for this. They certify that they're giving the accurate information. If there is ever an audit on the tax commission side, that has nothing to do with the county. To me, they would be going to the taxpayer. And that's how, I didn't have time to reverse anything anyway, it was after the fact, but I just want you guys aware of this. But I cleaned it up to a point of knowing which ones did not receive it. I haven't sent the refunds yet. Obviously, we haven't received payment yet either, so if you guys want me to do anything more on this, I can do more, but as it stands, how I ended it was, I'm presenting this. This is the list that they gave us, and this is the payment that we will receive from the state. Taxpayer certifies it.
Madam Chair, I think when people apply for this, and if they do so with knowing that they're being fraudulent, that's the risk that they are taking. If something comes back around to them, what I would love to see is the feedback you just gave to us, that you make sure you provide the state. Maybe specific examples. This is farmland, this is a commercial property, so that it puts it back on them a little to say, you may need to be doing a little more auditing of your lists, if you will.
Absolutely, and I was waiting to talk to you guys about how to proceed, but I was gonna send the list back to Shelley and say, this is what I uploaded, and now after the fact, I found that this is what it is.
You haven't went through the whole list though, correct? Or you have?
Just the 63. Yeah, just the trusts.
Just the trust?
Yeah, the trust, the list that they gave, what I provided you guys, cause the other one, we didn't have to go through any of it, and there were no emails back and forth about, so just the trust, I went through to make sure that primary resident credit had not already been applied. That was the only thing I really looked at beforehand. And then I went through all of the work, I mean, it was probably 3 days of work. That I was just getting this cleaned up, so it was, just this project was a big project, much less going through. And verifying and working with the state and,
So there's 1,800 trusts in Wolf County.
no, total primary resident credit, the original, yes, the original upload that we had was about 1,800. This one, that they sent back to us, we didn't upload this, they sent it to us with a list saying you need to apply the $500 credit to these, parcels. And of that, 63 of them did not have the PRC applied yet.
So when you say. When you say some of it's farmland, some of it's whatever, you're not just talking the trust though, you're talking.
The parcel number that they,
Provider, so
Provided.
out of that 1,800. There could be some that aren't trusts that are just. Just John Doe, and he applied for a primary residence credit on his piece of farmland. Wow.
yeah. And yeah, we didn't go through any of that, you know, the state has all of our data. We had to upload everything with the codes and all that, so yeah, it's not a county program, it's a state program. So, and you know, they were going back behind, you know, this was kind of thrown in their lap too, so there's a learning curve in there, but I just want you guys to know, I did not. Audit I did it as was instructed. Last I heard, I still haven't heard anything from Shelley that there were other counties that had farmland or anything like any non-residential structures.
Do you see if we moving forward and because you looked into it in other counties, you got a feeling that the state's gonna throw it to the counties and make sure we look at it and it's their problem again?
I don't know, yeah,
Out of the 63 is what they sent back,
originally like 70 some.
and how many did you find approximately that were not?
And it could be also that they didn't know, which parcel number to use or whatever either, so we had. So we had one commercial structure, it's assessed as commercial land, commercial structure. We had 9 that are, assessed as farmland.
Only 10%.
And there's one that's got residential and commercial on it too, but, so I'm assuming a house is on there, but. And I haven't had a chance to visit with Ed on this either, that this would definitely be his expertise, you know, he's been out, but. I had to get the file submitted to get payment, or it would have. And again, the state did not ever reach out to us and say, hey, you guys need to be verifying that these are all residential. The last communication I got from them was that the intent was to be generous with this credit.
Multiply that times 53 counties.
Exactly, Karen.
Madam Chairman, I'm not trying to, say this is right or wrong, but I think some people are just ignorant and they think that, and I'm not, they think that this is a tax break for them. No matter what they own, they're gonna get a tax break off. But this is, if you own a piece of land and you have a residence on there, then you qualify. But and then you put the trust in there and like, I'm in charge of a trust. I'm like, I maybe wouldn't be clear about, well, now trusts get it. But then you better put that primary residence back into that trust, and I think that's where people get mixed up. And I'm not saying everybody gets mixed up either, but maybe a fourth of the people think, well, I have a trust, now I can get it on there, whether I have a primary tax or not. But I think a lot of people should understand that it's the residence.
And it's your primary residence.
And it's your primary residence.
Right.
So I say this is the state's job.
I agree.
They have to make it clear so the counties know how to deal with this.
Right, I think at this point it is the state's job, and I think
Yep.
when they get this feedback, they will turn it over to the county to
Mhm.
make sure
Yeah, exactly.
that there is actually a residence, a primary residence on that property, but for now, I guess I agree. The state is saying, let's be generous, so in other words, they're saying, don't look too deep, don't look too, you know. And there probably is some honest errors out there, but there's also probably some fraud. We probably have a little bit of both. Appreciate you bringing that forward to us. I guess unless the commission disagrees, I would say proceed as you have, Ron.
Christie, maybe you wanna talk a little bit about the unpaid property tax notices that have gone out and that we will be delivering.
Yes, so the 3-year delinquent, by May 31st, we had to certify letters to all property owners and interested parties that, have a 3-year, any taxes due for 2022, as well as any residential structure. The sheriff's office has to, hand deliver a letter as well. And there's a lot still. So I bet you Lisa came and got. I don't even wanna get, but it was over 100, if not even more, so.
I think it was more than that.
Yeah, there's 2 pages to every one, but yeah, I bet it was. Yeah, I don't even remember now, we worked on it last week, but a lot of them, so yes, those all came out.
More than normal? More than what we usually see, would you say, or about the Fed?
I don't, it's always a lot.
Yeah, yes.
So I'm not sure if it's more than normal, but there are people that don't pay their property taxes until they get that notice delivered to them every year. So
Yes, and it's the same, I mean, a lot of them are the same ones. That's why I wish that, we get to assess $50, first part of May. But that does not cover any of the costs associated, it's almost $9 per envelope to certify a letter now. So if there's, could be $20, $18 right there in postage, I mean, the amount of time that it takes for these 3-year delinquent taxes. It's awful, and they have until, I believe, over to pay just the 1 year, and then it's the same process every year. But this year we did, because it's all new staff, we did go through every single parcel and check if it was there was a residential structure on it, instead of just looking at an old list or whatever, just gender. So, yeah, so there might have been more, because some maybe got missed in the past, but.
it's a lot of effort on the auditors. Plate too, they've got a lot going on, and this is every year it's a lot to get this list out and to get it served and back.
Yeah.
Before that deadline is
Yeah.
hard,
Absolutely.
so.
We need those fees raised,
Right.
so that it actually hurts a little bit, so they take care of it,
Yeah. I agree.
but that's out of our control.
Right. So I do think I need a motion, though, to approve the list that the tax commission gave, unless we can just sign it without a motion. But they did send us a sheet that the chair needs to sign.
Who's going to want to make this motion?
Or we just,
It says application was granted by the action of the Walsh County Board of Commissioners on such and such a date. But the letter says, dear commissioners, it has been determined that each of the attached trust and or mobile properties qualify for the 2024 primary residence credit in the amount indicated on the attached document. I request that abatements be granted for each of the homeowners listed in the attached document in the amount indicated. This will ensure that all eligible parties receive the benefits they are entitled to under North Dakota Century Code 57-02-08.9. Please do not hesitate to contact our office should you need any further information or clarification regarding these requests. This is difficult to sign when we know.
But they just point blank said, it's their list and everything, I'll make a motion, we sign it.
Wouldn't we be complicit to a crime?
Not really, they gave us the list and we followed what we were supposed to do.
Can I second with feedback?
Yes,
Well, you know. What do we do, not sign it and then we get stuck for the bill or not get the money? It's their program, they're telling us
Their
what they get,
request.
their list, yeah.
I request that the abatements be granted.
But if we openly know it's fraud,
Do we openly know? She is telling us that it is, but you know
It's
what?
questionable.
Questionable.
We don't know. We do not openly know it's fraud. Is there fraud in everything? 100%. I mean, you can't get by with.
can we send it back with concern?
I don't even think they even,
Ask for it back?
No.
Just
I think
like
it was just rubber
basically
stamp, yes,
rubber stamp it, move on.
right.
Hopefully with enough feedback from counties,
Yeah.
they will take a better look at this.
Yeah, so, and if you look at the date, that was May 2nd, so that was a Friday, our first commission meeting was the 6th, so. It wouldn't have even made it on the agenda for them, but we had to go through, they didn't provide the dollar amounts or anything. So we had to go through, we would have never been able to get it to you guys the first
Mhm.
meeting of the month anyway, don't even understand the whole process, and it's unfortunate, cause a lot has been thrown on their office with this. Very much so, but anyway, yeah, so with that letter, I couldn't even present that on the 6th, because I didn't even know what the amounts, you have to go through the whole process of. For each one before you find out how much they actually are approved for,
Okay,
it's just, yeah,
So don't we really have to approve it then, really?
well, because it had, I mean, because they sent that letter, I felt like I had to bring it to you guys,
Yeah.
yeah, and sign it.
and I'm not really willing to sign it without your guys' blessing either, so.
What's the repercussion if we don't sign it? That's.
I don't know if I can submit the refunds to everyone.
Well, I'll keep my motion that we sign it then.
Madam Chair, Chrissy, so when I'm seeing the amounts, are these basically saying that the 500 will clear their taxes? Or they owe additional? Like, what is the amount column telling us?
That's how much of the refund.
They would
They,
utilize?
yes, that they
Will have
qualify
above
for,
and beyond
yes, yeah,
potential.
yeah. So like the 5th one down, it's only 94.13, that means that their tax bill is only $94.13.
Or the 500 covered it.
No, 500 was a max.
Oh,
So,
sure.
yep, so all, these people will get, if they have paid their taxes already,
Sure.
they will get a refund from the county. For the amount, of the refund.
So next year we'll get a list and it'll be up to 1,600, so our list will be even larger, longer.
And yeah, and thankfully the trusts are now in, so then we won't have to do it all after the fact.
Right,
Mhm,
right.
It'll be-
exactly, yeah, it'll be one list.
I'll keep my second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take roll. Paul,
Yes.
Denny,
no,
Amy,
Yes.
Bernie,
Yes, I need a motion. That's why you get the big bucks.
well. Myself, yes, motion carried. I don't want to, but
That's all.
I hope the message comes across loud and clear from the counties that they need to get this cleaned up.
Yeah, they need to, I mean, it's a big project, and then I also heard in that legislative wrap up that the legacy funds. Are for the highway, those are that is funding that increased $1,600.
the prairie dog?
The legacy funds for the highway is no longer gonna happen because they're using the legacy funds to increase the primary resident credit to $1,600. So it's not additional,
They're taking funds out of the legacy funds
Yeah.
to cover that.
cover that.
So they took it away from the highway to give to the right residents,
They're not,
no?
the highway is not getting any less money. This, it's called a legacy tax relief fund. That's what that fund is for the residents. But there's money being put in for roads, bridges, counties,
Granted,
cities.
yeah, probably that was like a $70 million hit.
Prairie dog took a $70 million hit.
Of free money. So,
Well,
there's a lot of townships
It don't.
that don't need the money, okay? Across the board, you tell me I'm wrong, across the board. Always everybody got the same amount of money. This time they're giving money in grants for the townships. To apply for them who need them, and they will get them. It's just that. You know, if people are having money in their coffers and not using it. Then they weren't gonna get.
There's a $50 million bridge fund. For in the grant where you can go through for a flex fund, there's a flex fund project, you get $20 million for. A flex fund just specifically for townships that you can go through. That were added this year, but also the prairie dog funds, which, yes, it used to be everybody got. A check, everybody got the San Juan check for prairie dog, now they changed that per mile basis. And, but with that, it took a $70 million hit. So they reduced the fund about 30% with that.
But we also got moved up ahead of the SIF, right? They removed the SIF, which that was huge, wasn't it? Or,
Since the legacy or the prairie dog funds came in, it's always been a if we're gonna get it, but if they have failed for the last 2 bienniums, so we've been lucky for that. The first biennium. Last biennium, they added a bucket before it, this year they removed that bucket back out. So that is a good thing, for more clear for getting that. But it's still probably gonna be about $1 million hit for Walsh County. That we won't receive from prairie dog,
How much?
$1 million.
and that's what percent, what did we usually get time, wasn't it 4?
4.2 or something.
Yeah. So that's a 25%,
My
yeah.
estimate is, yeah. Well,
Can we make that up anywhere?
Cool.
I mean, like flex funds, are we gonna maybe get more out of there?
it's a competition because it's grant based.
Not money, yeah.
We all, everyone will be applying to the state DOT and the flex funds and see what we can get, but. It'll be $1 million, the guaranteed money that we won't get. Well, so I haven't sat down to the exact calculation, but from other counties I've spoken to, were afraid it's gonna be about 30% cut.
That's tough, Bill Slow.
The nice thing about the prairie dog is we could use it as we wish, where now these grant monies and everything else, if we got a project and they don't think it's feasible, are they gonna accept it?
Yes,
Well, I hope you're right. If that's
So
what
can we
scares me.
get 12B paved under that?
absolutely not. Jeez.
She don't give up.
People, do you wanna get all your money in 12B and then nothing else?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
We're gonna try.
So
And
how are you gonna monitor the townships? I mean, are they gonna have to submit a financial statement? Before they,
I don't,
no idea on that,
no
cause
idea.
I know, I agree with you, there are some townships.
There are, and that's what they wanted to get away from. Yeah, it's gonna be a little more work, but I was assured that whoever applies for the grants, you know, they will get the money.
But we have 50 bridges on the 4 list ourselves. $50 million for a bridge grant process, you know. 50, the bridges are about $1 million a piece, we're looking at about 40, well, honestly, about 40 million. That spread across the entire state, so.
But we don't get money for every big bridge, every biennium, do we?
We've been lucky, yeah.
Yeah, lately we have quite a few.
Well, here's the thing. Property taxes, other money. So it's hard to balance all that when, you know, we already didn't give enough in property taxes, according to a lot of people. They're gonna get, you know, $1,600 off. How do you satisfy everybody? I'm glad I don't have to be on those appropriation committees because they're tough committees to be on. I mean, the one guy who's on appropriations for the, you know, like the prairie dog and it's the DOT. It's tough. I don't know how he can even go home at night and get any sleep because it's so much pressure to have to get this, and this. And then when you get a barrel of oil going down to $56, and I mean, it's back up again, that's where. That's where the money comes into play of how we're going to sustain all of it. So. I mean, I want my property taxes paid for too. And, you know, I'll get a primary, and a lot of people will, a lot of people are already getting primary. But it's the money it's to balance all of that, and I think, you know, that will happen. But in one biennium to get it all. And you know, there's gonna be another measure on the ballot for property taxes. So, I mean, it's gonna be whole different again the next session,
Are you talking about Bowser?
yeah. So,
Christie,
If you guys have not listened to the legislative wrap up that ILG did last week, I would highly recommend it. That's where I had heard. It was fantastic. It was only supposed to be 2 hours and it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And yeah,
I did listen,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
very,
great.
very good.
yeah. So that's where I found out. I thought this PRC was additional money that was getting spent down, spent. I didn't realize it was getting pulled from elsewhere. It's unfortunate, but.
And what I heard on the high was that it was 180 million, it went down to 110 million, but that was pretty much what they were seeing was being spent. That it was not cutting it, it was basically saying, we're not seeing the above and beyond spent. I guess it'll remain to be seen if that's the
exactly
case,
what
but.
they came up.
You see?
More to come.
Yeah.
What I picked up is that, I picked up a lot,
Yeah.
but one thing that bothered me is that the state employees got a 3%. They will get a 3% increase. We're going to have a tough time with our budget and the 3% cap. Doing an increase. So that's going to be hard, Ron,
3% this year, 3% next year,
right?
so,
6%,
yeah.
3 and 3.
Yeah.
Right, and yet our hands are gonna be tied and we're going to have this cap and
Yeah.
that's just, in my mind, that's not fair, but. Like, it's not fair.
And you know, it's not fair. But that's what the people throughout the whole state want. So people in the counties are gonna have to deal with budgets being cut somewhere, right? The commission can't help it. If there's gonna be a budget cut, they're gonna feel it. But that's what they said. And that's what they want. And, you know, with property taxes not completely going away, it might next time, and then people will see that. I mean, there's a lot of people who have nothing to do with county government, don't know how it's run, but yet don't care. And they'll say, I don't care, I just don't wanna pay property taxes. And we can all agree, we wanna own our house, we wanna do this, but we also are gonna see cuts in services. In gravel and whatever needs to be cut, right? That's not,
When they have a fire and the fire department doesn't show up, that's gonna hurt. When they need an ambulance and the ambulance isn't there.
so there's gonna have to be some way to put services back in that people will have to eventually pay for them.
Well, but and if it
One
all
way or
comes from
the
the
other.
state, if it all comes from the state, we lose our local control.
Well, it's not gonna come from the state.
So where does it come from? How do you?
We're gonna have to
You
find
and
out
me.
where-
If we're not paying any taxes, which is fine, then we're gonna have to put in for services. Because how do we expect our roads to get gravelled, our roads to get graded? If we don't have any, I'll just say, skin in the game
Mhm.
ourselves, right?
We tried that last week. It didn't go.
Mhm.
So, I know. But when you're driving on roads and,
Can't get everything for free.
yeah,
It-
we can't expect.
We can't expect to get everything for free.
So,
There's gonna be a point where you're not gonna be able to get ahead of the snowball. And that's what scared me.
but if money isn't coming into the state from oil, and other, you know, gas tax or whatever else. There's nothing there. I mean, you can't.
Is the $1,600 credit sustainable with the state budget? There's some people don't seem to think
Hope
it
so.
is.
Hope so.
Okay. Good discussion.
You don't have an easy job and I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a big guess.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
big guessing game, and that's why some of these budgets don't come, I wish we could have a bill and say, okay, all budgets are at due the first half before a crossover. But that's hard. I mean, it is hard. I wish they wouldn't keep some of it, but that's just.
But how do you go up against City of Fargo? I mean, and that's where the,
Well, I tried and I didn't vote for some of those things.
yeah,
Um,
over 60% of the legislators coming out of the big four cities, it's
Yeah.
an uphill battle all the way for us.
yeah. We did try to get a lot of rural things go through. I mean, we were pretty successful with some of that, but,
And-
yeah.
And I think it's a starting point. I mean, it was great that the rural caucus was started, right? Like there, not everything does happen in one session. Your voices, we have to, and I mean, we were elected to run our county budget, so. You know, that's a big part of our job. So what do? We do the best that we can to be fiscally responsible, to make the best decisions that we can for our taxpayers. And if that's who we're working for, that's all we can do. But I agree, people have to understand that there is give and take. So you want no property tax, there could be a gas tax, or I mean, it's that whole mentality of it goes away. It's the same thing with the jail. I believe we need to keep putting the information out there so people do understand that this is going to affect you, to not have services and to take those bigger vision of we need this for the future. It may not affect you today, tomorrow, but next week, when you have something that affects you personally, I don't like that that's what it takes for people to finally realize but unfortunately, that is sometimes the case, so.
Sadly, yes. Okay. Good to move on? Okay, thank you, Karen, for your input, appreciate it. All right, we're going to go back up to the added items on the agenda and dam projects.
Well, the good news I delivered 2 weeks ago is bad news now. The federal government cut the funding for our dam rehabilitation projects, so we have no idea. I don't think with the state money and what we gotta do locally, we can even think about doing them. So right now, they're on hold, so. More cuts elsewhere. So, and he was so sure, when we talked 2 weeks ago, he was so sure that it was gonna go through, and all of a sudden. That was the third bit of bad news I got after the jail went down, was that night when Sarah emailed me and said that all the dam funding got cut, so. Just wanted to update you, it's not going forward as of now.
Thank you for the update. All right, Christie.
Yes.
County tour.
Yes, yesterday I got an email that the county tour is going to be Wednesday, June 11th at 10 o'clock in Grafton. They expect to be here about 2 hours. I don't know how that worked. It was emailed to all the commissioners as well as department heads. I don't know what it looks like. I wasn't.
You were here. So the last one that we had here was very productive, I felt. It was a very good meeting. Several representatives came on from Nadago. I think wasn't there at least 5 or 6?
Yeah, there was 5 at least.
And it was just an open discussion. We could ask questions, address concerns. So I would say as many of us commissioners that can be here as possible is the best.
Did you say 2 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock,
On June
June
11th.
11th,
Wednesday.
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock. Do department heads, go to that, or is it more,
Anybody?
do you remember?
I
Last time
felt
was
like it was
mostly
just
commissioners.
commissioners,
Just commissioners, okay.
but I'm not saying that's what it has to be.
We can bring it up at the
It's a whole
meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we should remind the department heads of it or not.
What is it on there? Any elected official?
Oh.
Any elected appointed, but being an open meeting, and I have another commitment for my business, so I will not be able to attend, so. calendar, right, so Rick
Well, if you have any questions,
Yep.
you could get them together and email them to me if you want. So, okay, that sounds good. All right, anything else? I believe we've covered everything on the agenda. Okay. Hearing nothing, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.